Welcome to Your Thoughts, Your Reality with Michael Cole, the podcast that shines a compassionate light on the journey of veterans battling through life's challenges. Michael is a dual elite certified neuroencoding specialist in coaching and keynote training presentations, dedicated to guiding military veterans as they navigate the intricate pathways of post-deployment life. Join him as we delve into the profound realm of neuroencoding science, empowering these brave individuals to conquer universal battles, procrastination, self-doubt, fear, and more. Together, let's uncover the strength within you to re-engage with families and society, forging a new path forward.
Hello, everybody. Today we have back our good friend, Neko Zairis. He's a seasoned law enforcement veteran with 30 years of experience in law enforcement, bringing a wealth of knowledge about managing high-stakes situations and resolving conflicts with integrity. Advocate for transitioning veterans. He's a military family perspective. Let me slow down. We're a couple minutes late, so my brain is still on overload. Hold on. Neuroencoding works. All right. Having a daughter in National Guard, Neko provides a unique lens on the challenges and transformations military families face. He's an expert in active threat preparedness. Anybody that's seen him on here before, he's absolutely fantastic. And proponent of negotiations with integrity. And today we're going to really dive into negotiations a lot. So, and whatever that means in your life. So, Neko, for people that don't know you yet, why don't you just tell us a little bit more about yourself?
My name is Neko Zairis. I am the owner and CEO of Neko Zairis Security and Critical Behavior Consulting. I've got about 30 years law enforcement experience, and I'm a dad of three. My oldest daughter is in the National Guard, stationed in Alaska, and currently active member in law enforcement now still. And I'm a lover of dad jokes, so that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
And I'm just going to say right now, well, obviously, as we always do, ask Neko at the end to share how to reach out to him. So he does dad jokes, and I can never go past it, man. I always have to stop and just take a listen. So, just to fill my cup and fill my soul a little bit, why don't we start there? Give us a dad joke, Neko.
Okay, I'll start with the one I was going to end the show with, and then I'll just try to see if I can figure one at the end. So for starters, how do the elves keep the North Pole so clean? They use sanitizer. So yeah, that's just one of the ones I use. Like I said, if it makes my kids cringe, the job well done.
I know. I remember we first talked about it. That's exactly why you said. Well, I got news for you. One day you're going to have 20,000 of those on there.
You ain't lying.
Absolutely fantastic. So before we really dive in, guys, I want to just remind everybody to look up in the top right corner. There's a blue QR code. Please scan that. It takes you to empowerperformancestrategies.com. For people listening on the podcast forums later on, again, that is empowerperformancestrategies.com. We have an amazing mission we're rolling, and we have some free ebooks for both veterans and their families, as well as Facebook groups for veterans and another one for their families. Just support. They're great groups. Don't go in solitude. Come join us, be part of the mission, and let's blow this thing up. So with that said, Neko, shall we get started?
Absolutely.
All right, fantastic, man. So with your experience in law enforcement, how has it shaped your understanding for negotiation, and especially in high-pressure situations?
Well, I always use, when I get into a situation like that, I try to understand and realize that in some cases, especially in negotiations, it's not about solving a problem. It's about actually listening. And I try to revert back to that whenever I'm in a situation like that. And I allow that situation, by listening to that person's problems, negate whether it's the questions I ask or what leads me to the next step to help them help themselves.
Yeah, absolutely love that. And it's not just in that situation, right? I mean, we can, and in my opinion, should do this in everyday life with people.
Well, if I may say that, if people ask me how many negotiations have you been through, I say, I don't know, what time is it? I mean, because every situation, whether it's with your wife, your best friend, your kid, your friend, or anybody else, you have to take into consideration that, that could very well be the worst day of their life. You don't know. So I believe every conversation is in its own way a negotiation.
Right. Absolutely. And let's talk about that a little bit more. So, I mean, whether it's a someone's having a bad day, or and let's get a little silly, it's what's for dinner, right?
Mhm.
So, um, what are some of the things, we talk about active listening, right? Which I think is absolutely main focal point for this, as you brought up. What is active listening, and how do people know the difference between I'm just absorbing it in, but compared to active listening, if you will?
Well, let me just start off by saying that ALS, active listening skills, is the paramount basic step of all negotiations. Everything stems from ALS. ALS is the bottom step in the step process needed to go to basically get change in the situation that you're involved in right now. So basically, instead of always like when someone says something, you go with questions that are not yes or no answers.
Mm.
Instead of asking, is the sky blue? It'd be more like, what do you think about the sky? I mean, try to get more of a response from the person you're talking to, and try to stay away from questions that need a yes or no answer.
And why do you say that? What's the
Because,
reasoning behind it?
well, the reasoning is because you're there to listen. I mean, how many times can you listen to, how old are you? All right, 24. Are you a male? Yes. Are you a female? Yes. That's it. But why not ask, how do you feel about the way you are? How do you feel about the weather? Why are we in this situation right now? And in order for me to help you, I have nothing to listen to if all I'm hearing is yes and no.
Yeah, and really, I think it comes down to learning about that person's model of the world. Yes. So
Absolutely.
if you don't,
Absolutely.
if you're going into a perspective, and I train on this and teach this with my coaching as well. If you are just going in with your model of the world, how often is it going to match exactly the other person? So if you're just literally going in and saying, "Hey, this is what I'm seeing," doesn't mean they're understanding at all what you're saying in that sense, because they're not seeing the same thing, because their model of the world is different, their perspectives are different, or their blueprint for life, if you will, is different.
Well,
So, I think that's, in order to align with somebody, let's talk about that for a little bit. I'm sure it's a major part of negotiation on all levels. If you're just going by your model of the world, it's hard to really align with somebody to really connect and have a good conversation. Talk
well,
about that.
Well, one of the secrets is the advantages from my perspective and being a negotiator on the SWAT team is that I'm going to have information about the people that everybody else isn't going to have when they're in a situation like I would be. So ultimately, by asking these open-ended questions, what you're doing is you're learning more about them, and then you're looking for that common denominator. One of the examples, when we took the program in the beginning, the instructor got up in the front of the room. He goes, "I'm 50 years old. I'm in the military. I used to live in Florida. I trained. I've got this many kids." And what he did is he opened up a dialogue so that each and every one of us can look at, all right, well, maybe I've never been to Florida, but I'm a father. So I can relate with that. So the more open-ended questions you ask, the more you learn about them. And then you find that common denominator. Even if it's not you, it might be with somebody that you've interacted with, and you can use that in your dialogue.
Absolutely. And it can be a father, it could be scuba diving, golfing, musician. I like to sing, whatever, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be some mind altering thing. It's just anything. When you go into, let's say, a grocery store, for instance, when you're going in there and you're standing in line and everybody's bored, and all of a sudden somebody brings up something that they feel the same way about. It's that simple as far as aligning with somebody, good or bad, but it's that simple to really align with somebody. We do it all day long. If you're in society, on the phone, whatever the case may be, it happens. It happens more often than not. So maybe just a thought: should people be kind of learning those skills and working those skills when they're out in public? Not necessarily a SWAT negotiator like someone else, but in everyday life for veterans and their families, I think maybe that's a good skill to just kind of harness and get into Nico's boot camp And
absolutely. We have all kinds of openings in my boot camps, but ultimately the key is to be nice. I know, be kind. We discussed this in our last podcast together. We're going to discuss it today. And if you ever invite me again, be kind is going to be in the next one, because I would say absolutely everybody just please listen and be kind, because that conversation you're having with that person could be the difference between them doing something harmful. Just be nice and be kind. So I would be the biggest advocate of everybody taking this kind of training. But then again, you can expect people to do that. So yes, I would love for everybody to just take a couple minutes when you're at the grocery store in line and somebody strikes up a conversation, instead of rolling your eyes and looking at your groceries, strike up a conversation. Just be kind.
Yeah, I love that, because it's like you said, it can be something super simple, but changes somebody's day. And here's the beautiful thing: that ripple effect changes that family's day, and maybe that family's friend's day. And because once someone's kind and it connects, the ripple effect keeps going. So
well, I completely agree with you, and I always make a joke wherever I go. I was brought up to be a gentleman. I open the door, and I always make a joke. Oh my God! When somebody says thank you, I say, oh, that's my one good deed for the day. It's kind of like I like to make people laugh, and I use that as a basis. If that strikes up a conversation, great. If not, you see somebody walking away with a smile, that's a win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to just keep adding on to this about the being kind. I teach a practice, a hack, whatever it is, but it's a 50-foot rule. And so when you're walking around, just putting intent on somebody else and saying in your mind, because if you say it out loud, they might be calling Neko to come negotiate and see what's going on with you. But I teach, and I do it myself. And this is why I teach it, because it's powerful. If you can look at somebody, another human being, and just say in your mind, I love you, and just put that intent and feel it, and you keep doing that with people around you within 50 feet. Here's the experience I had with it, and this is why I teach it. I literally went into Walmarts, went into stores everywhere, and just the positive, or that magnetism, if you will, and it's a science thing. It's not woo-woo unicorns and rainbows. It's a real thing. That magnetism, that people literally just start talking to you, and they're happy and they're smiling. And I can't tell you, there was one day specifically, it was a Walmart, and I came home and told my wife, it was like the weirdest thing happened today. And this is when the realization of it happening, of my aha moment. Literally, I had some of the most amazing conversations with people, and they left smiling. I saw them again, they were still smiling. So if you can be kind, thank you, Neko, it really just, the ripple effect continues. It just continues. So try that process, and I'd love to hear from people later on and how that worked for them. I think, Neko, that is one of the main things, because you're coming in there with that heart space, with negotiations. Let's get back into that. It changes everything, right? Because let's get into the integrity part. When you come in there with that of really trying to serve, help, not only does it make you feel good, but it generally will make the other person feel good.
Yeah, positivity. You give off vibes, and you have an aura of like approachability, and I think that's a gift. And for some people, it's actually their superpower.
Yeah, I love that. Maybe that'll be my superpower today.
There it is.
No, I absolutely love it. So, would you say that with negotiations again, and let's keep it fairly simple. I mean, I know SWAT has different kinds of negotiations than the rest of us do every day, just in it to in that perspective, if you will. So, what do you think some of the most important things to remember, besides being kind? We talked about that, but let's actually, I'm going to just go straight into integrity, if that's okay with you. Does that
Absolutely.
work? Beautiful. Because I think when you're integrous within yourself, people feel it. So talk about negotiations with integrity. What are some of the key points, and what's important in your just basic thoughts on that?
Right. So basically, I just about 2 weeks ago retook a 40-hour FBI negotiator school, just to basically hone in on my skills.
Mhm.
And the bottom line, the number one
Hold on,
rule.
Nico, I'm sorry, I got to interrupt.
What's that?
FBI training, just to hone in on my skills.
Man, the best of the best in the region were there. I mean, instructors from all departments, from the agencies, they put us through a 40-hour pre-basic in order to be a negotiator. This is just one of the programs you take. For some of us, it was just basically a repeat to hone in on our skills. But bottom line, no questions asked. whenever you're dealing with any kind of a negotiation. Number one rule, don't lie.
Mm.
It's basically that simple. Whether you want to look at it from the integrity perspective, but the bottom line is this: you cannot gain the trust of anybody you're talking to if you lie to them. If you don't know, you don't know. That's why I always say leave it up to the open-ended questions to learn more, because there is commonality there. You don't make up a story off of what they tell you. And when you're sitting there for 6 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours trying to talk to somebody from not hurting themselves or other people, you can't go back and be like, oh, did I say that? You can't do that. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to them. So the number one rule in integrity, do not lie to the people you're speaking to.
Yeah, I absolutely love that, because how many times do we say it's a white lie, but then something blows up because number one, that number two, the snowball effect, right?
Yep.
Oh, I lied. Now I got to cover up that lie. Now I got to cover up that lie, and sooner or later, you're going to be caught. And not only does that feel horrible, if your integrity, obviously, you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, right? But it breaks down everything. It breaks down everything. I mean, for you and the other person that that negotiation or that relationship is with. So, talk to me about hey, I want to tell the truth. I want to be in integrity, and maybe some ways and some skills to work kind of around that, so you're integrous for yourself and the other person, but like you're not hurting them. You're not going to trigger them, for example, if you want to use that word.
Well, I'll use that word because that is the word we use. So in my world, it's hooks and triggers. There's things you should talk about, and then there's things you shouldn't talk about. But the only way to find out is with open-ended questions.
Right.
When someone's talking to you, they're upset, they need someone to hear them out. They're going to let you know with their tone, with their words, what bothers them, and then what they really enjoy, respect, and love. And that is our job, to figure out what those are and stay tuned on the hooks for the sake of this conversation and stay away from those triggers. So that's how we do it.
Yeah, fantastic. Would you say that I mean, that's probably one of the most important things to really have intent and really pay attention to?
Well, not only that, and again, once in my world, it's not just me. There's a team, there's a person sitting right next to me saying, hey, dummy, don't say that, and it's kind of like, and there's people on a board behind me saying, all right, these are the things we know. These are the things that we don't know yet of. These are the triggers. These are the hooks. So, I mean, it's not a me, it's a we. There are a team of people that want to help that person out. That is our goal, that nobody gets hurt. That's our mission when we go into any negotiation. So, and like you mentioned, you have to start with ALS. It's all about active listening. And if you think about it, it's like a set of steps. Every time you progress, you're going up a step. If you lie or something happens, guess what? Now you have to go all the way back down to that first step. So these are the things that we keep track of. So integrity, don't lie, good listening skills, open-ended questions. These are all the things that we use. And I try to use in my every day-to-day questions whenever I talk to anybody.
Right. I love that. It's having that integrity, and the thing that you really hit with what or hit me, I should say, not literally, but that really connected with me. I even got goosebumps. It's just, you're there to help. You're there to help, because the main goal is no one gets hurt, including your team, obviously. And that you watch movies, and you watch this and you watch that, and there's all this plotting and all these different things, right? And it's not in integrity generally. There's let me rephrase that. There's always one guy on the team.
Well, that's why it's a movie. That's why it's a movie. That's why you make popcorn and enjoy. My wife will literally roll her eyes. She goes, "Don't you dare." I go, "Nope, I'm going to enjoy it just with you." So I keep my comments to myself, and we just enjoy the show. We leave it at that.
I bet that was a skill you literally had to learn.
Yeah, that was one of the toughest things. I'm like, nope. You're watching the show with your family, sit back and enjoy. So that I can laugh at that because I'm so guilty of that.
Yeah, and I my wife and I do it all the time. That's crap. There's no way they do that.
That's why they call it entertainment.
I just want, look, we're friends, okay? I want you to watch John Q and just report back to me on an all the bull.
Gotcha. All right, I'll take notes.
All right. In fact, when we see each other, let's just watch it together and you just kind of go through it with me.
Absolutely. A movie night. I'm always for a movie night.
Amen. Amen, man. From your perspective, or let's actually go with like workshops that you do and your teachings with your company. You teach preparation for active threat scenarios. So how does maintaining composure, which I'm going to go with as one of the most important things you can do, really help with clarity under pressure?
Well, again, when you're looking at anything under pressure, you have to look at your mindset and your body and where you're at physically and mentally. So I always revert back to taking care of yourself, because if you can't take care of you, you can't take care of anybody else. So that's like the golden rule. So that is my basis, my beginning of anything, whatever I'm teaching, or when I go to a class, that's what I'm looking for. So that's how I judge. I mean, you have to be mentally and physically at the top of your game to be able to handle anything, especially in an active threat situation.
Yeah. So thank you, first of all. Let's dive into that a little bit more for our audience. As far as just negotiation in general in life, right? Because life be life, and things are coming at you all the time. It never stops. It's how you deal with it, right? And your perspective of it. Whether you're gonna go, meet Neko in his uniform, or you're going to say, oh, no big deal, and move on with your day. It's a very different outcome either way. So talk to me a little bit about, what are some of the things mentally, let's break this down, mentally and physically, you just talked about. For our listeners, what are some things you can do mentally to stay in that positive mindset or good mindset, if you will?
Well, you look at every situation you go to and you try to find the positive in everything, wherever you go, because as we notice, when we meet all different kinds of people, it's almost like you can feel the negativity. So whenever, I always tell everybody that, everything that happens is my fault. So if I go into something negative, I'm assuming that people are going to read that negative vibe. So what I do is I basically, wherever I go, the second I walk out of my house, I'm positive. There's a little joke in the department that whenever I key up on the radio, they're like, oh, it's Mr. Happy. So it's kind of like, and I wish I was joking, because it's kind of like, it starts at the very beginning. It just try to be a positive person, because that way they're like, oh, okay. It's like, I can be myself. I can ask what I want when I'm with this person. I don't have to worry about like keeping things from them, because here's somebody that's coming into all situations with a positive perspective. So just self-check and realize that wherever you go, as long as you understand and you have the mindset like you do, when you look at someone, I love you. I tell everybody, whatever happens today, it's my fault. So I stay positive. So I give off a positive vibe. That's how I handle it.
That's fantastic. So would you say that having that positive mindset, and again, whatever that means for the person, it obviously affects other people, because they wouldn't mess with you if they didn't love you for it, right? On the radio, right? Mr. Positive.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the people around you are generally going to be attracted more to the positivity than negativity, or you're probably going to attract the wrong people in your life. How has that affected you in your life, Mr. Positive?
Well, as Mr. Positive, I realize that, like negative likes negative. So it's kind of like they always tell you to surround yourself people that are like-minded. So I believe that negative people hang out with negative people. There's that negative energy, but it's their energy. So I figured that I only attract people that are positive and happy, or at least I try to show people that there is, two sides to a coin. It depends on how you handle the situation, which, goes right into the effect of the outcome that you're looking for, whether you know it or not. So again, it's all about being kind and being positive wherever you go, whoever you deal with, because nobody wants to hang out with that Debbie Downer.
No, and you know what? I love that you said that, because really you are. They say that the average of the 5 to 7 people around you, and so if you're noticing, I'm just going to throw this out there, right? I think you're going to agree with it. If you're noticing the people around you are all crabby and angry and everything, you may be there too. And that self-check, like Neko said, it might be time for that. So I also always suggest don't be the smartest guy in the room, because the people around you, here's the psychological part of that. The people around you are either going to bring you up, or you're going to settle down to their level to be comfortable, right?
That's
So
right.
don't be the smartest guy or gal in the room. You always want to be rising. You always want to be better, so you can say, like Neko says, I just did this FBI thing just to hone my skills a little bit, just to, just to get a little better,
It was just a week. I had nothing else better to do. No, it was amazing training, and I enjoyed every minute.
I bet. I'm sure that was a major gift in life, to just go in there and do that, and of course being around your comrades and so on. So, and spreading that positivity in that room.
That's right.
Amen. Let's talk about the physical. So we got about 4 minutes left, and of course I want to have people be able to reach out to you and get our final 3 tips. But the physical, how much does that deal with mindset and being able to calm yourself, and really there's the physiology that goes into all of the negotiations for you, obviously, but also for our everyday veterans and or civilians families.
Well, the only way I can answer that question is what works for me. And I realize that, in order for my mental to be where it is, in order to handle the situations I do, I need to have my physical at the top of its game. Whether it's my 10,000 steps a day, whether it's, keeping it under so many calories a day, the meal portions and stuff like that, which for a lot of people is like, wow, that seems like a lot. Well, it's what I need. That's how I keep myself in check, my mental, because I've got my physical where I need it to be. Push-ups, sit-ups, jumping jacks, burpees, whatever each day brings, whether it's the boot camps that I put on, whether it's the workouts that I do for myself. All of that helps me train, and it makes me happy. Therefore, my mental is where it needs to be. So again, I can only speak on behalf of myself. That's how I help me be ready to handle whatever the situation brings.
Yeah, phenomenal. So there's a lot of science behind it. Your physiology, when you're working out, and a lot of people know this, but I'm just going to kind of touch base on it. It releases good hormones that actually relax you, that calm you, and put you in a better state of mind. And emotionally, that all plays in together. So when you're handling things emotionally better because of your thoughts, you handle every day better. Again, it's whether you get a flat tire and ruins your day and everybody around you their day, or it's like, okay, a flat tire, life, this is life, okay, move on, and how much different is it when you do the workouts, you eat right, you do those kinds of things, and every day is just so much simpler instead of catastrophic.
It just helps me get through the stuff that, just like you said, I've gotten a flat tire. Well, got to fix a flat tire. It's just that simple. Instead of, oh my God, my day is ruined. Well, I mean, I get it. Things need to be now changed to deal with that time you have to spend, but it's like no use crying over spilt milk. I mean, you pick up the mess and then you move forward. And therefore for me, again, keeping my physical where it is now, even at my age at 55, sorry, that's something in my throat. It's kind of like, and I want to keep it going at 65 and 75 and so on, because that's what keeps me being Mr. Happy, because my physical's where I needed to be and my mental is where I needed to be to get my job done. So that's my happy. So that's how I look at it.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And I'm just saying, my friend, it's a fantastic way to look at it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Because otherwise you'd be Mr. Negative.
Yeah, we don't want Mr. Negative.
No one has time for Mr. Negative, man.
There you go.
All right, brother, we're at the end of the show. So first of all, do you want to do another dad joke?
Well, if you push me, fine, I'll do one more. But yes, I do have one more joke for everybody. Oh, there's the push. Okay, so what do you call a can opener that doesn't work? This is usually where I grab my coffee and take a sip, but I'll give you a second. It's called a can't opener. So again, cringy. The goal is cringy, and I believe I succeeded in that. And my wife somewhere is rolling her eyes right now upstairs.
I gotta tell you, man, I love when your wife's on the video and you're like, honey,
babe.
Yeah, it's
she's like, why God, why me? And I get it. And that's the goal. That's my win for the day.
It's awesome. And thank you for entertaining us.
You're welcome.
Sorry to the wife. So, how do people reach out to you? How do people find out about your trainings, the Greek boot camp, all of it?
Okay, so as far as the dad jokes go, it's hashtag Nick Business, NICKBIZNESS. But in regards to any active shooter, active threat training, it's NEKOZAIRIS at gmail.com is my email, and .com is my website.
Fantastic. And, reach out. People, this is a fantastic man, and who doesn't want to be around him with his dad jokes and positivity as well? I mean, it just all goes together so well. Absolutely,
mental.
absolutely love it. So, can we get 3 tips to get veterans and their families further faster?
Okay, number 1, always be kind. Number 2, there are people out there that want to help. Please reach out. And number 3, put your body and your mind in what you consider the best version of yourself. Try to eat better, try to work out, try to be a better version of yourself. Don't compare yourself to the next person. Just be a better version of you.
Absolutely love that. Yeah, don't compare to other people. Compare to them for possibilities, but compare yourself for
Absolutely.
For growth. So with that said, Neko, as always, love you being on the show, and time is the most precious resource we have as human beings. We do not get it back. We do not get it back. So thank you for spending some of your life and time with us again, and spreading such amazing information that can help you just in everyday life. So thank you so much for that.
The honor is mine. Thank you for your time, and it's always a pleasure to be any part of anything Michael Cole has to offer. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. And on that note, we're out of here.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on another insightful journey of Your Thoughts, Your Reality podcast with your host, Michael Cole. We hope the conversation sparked some thoughts that resonate with you. To dive deeper into empowering your thoughts and enhancing your reality, visit empowerperformancestrategies.com. Remember, your thoughts shape your reality, so make them count. Until next time, stay inspired and keep creating the reality you desire. Catch you on the next episode.